everybody, and welcome to Ridiculously Serious, a show where we draft teams from absolutely ridiculous categories and have a completely serious debate about them. My name is Mike, and I'm your host. As always, I am here with my co-hosts Joe and Brandy, who, if you're listening to the podcast version of this, are making hilarious faces and making it very hard for me to get through this intro, but I managed. Joe, how you doing?
I'm great.
Glad to hear it. So what you can tell me this week and tell the people a little bit more about yourself, and I think this might be our biggest insight into you as a person so far on this show, as far as these opening questions. Who was your biggest childhood celebrity crush?
All right, so I have a weird one because I think a lot of people my age would be like Britney Spears or Lindsay Lohan, and they were great and all, but at a very early age, my grandmother had me watching her. No, it's not my grandmother. I started that off wrong. My grandmother had me watching her favorite movie and the sequel to that, and that was Wizard of Oz. And I actually wasn't. I'm going to name two people because I wasn't aware that they were different people. I just referred to them as Dorothy, and that was Judy Garland from Wizard of Oz and Fairuza Balk from Return to Oz. And was not aware that they were different people until adulthood, when in an adulthood I was still very into Fairuza Balk, and I was looking at her IMDb page and realized that she was Dorothy in Return to Oz, and my mind was kind of blown.
How old were you at the time? Like, what age range are we talking?
I don't know, like, how old are you when you're watching Wizard of Oz? 5, 6, 7, something like that?
I'll let you know when I watch it.
You never watched Wizard of Oz?
I'm not a big, like, older movie person. Like, I know that's
a cinematic masterpiece.
I know, but I haven't watched Citizen Kane either, so. Actually, that's not true. I have watched Citizen Kane. I had to watch it in college. I didn't really watch too much of it, but we did watch it. Also, before we get to Brandy's question, I never get to answer any of these, and I like coming up with them, so I felt the need on this one to just give a special shout-out to my girl, Hillary Duff, the absolute goat of childhood crushes. I honestly think it might be the only person I'd leave Heather for. Hopefully she doesn't listen to this intro. But wow. I think just for not even for like attraction purposes, right? Just for straight up nostalgia purposes at this point. Like, I literally still remember the episode of Lizzie McGuire where she kissed Aaron Carter, and it made me hate Aaron Carter's guts for so long. Literally hated him. Like, and then I found out, and then I got to adulthood and found out he was a giant piece of shit and just an awful human being, and that made me feel really good about hating him for kissing Hillary Duff.
Congratulations. Good for
I actually
you.
recently watched the Lizzie McGuire movie where she goes to Rome and hey now,
yeah,
this is what dreams are made of.
I just remember. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say I'm very upset that neither of you even briefly mentioned Brittany Murphy. What is that face for? Are you?
She's attractive, but I don't know if she's like. What would your childhood crush on her be from? Like, what movie or show from childhood? Like, because that's what a childhood crush is. It's not just some random. It's like in a show you love or something.
Clueless.
Clueless came out in the mid-90s. Were you watching Clueless when you were like 6?
Yes.
Probably. It was on.
What do you mean when it came out?
I don't know about that. Anyway,
I was watching Friends.
I don't know, man.
I
literally named someone who like was born in the 1800s almost. and then Fairuza Balk, who's like old enough to be my mom.
It's fair. Hey, when you're a kid, you know? All right. We do have to move on at some point, so we'll do that now.
Yep.
Brandy, I was very happy with this question when I thought of it. If you were a professional wrestler, we're talking straight WWE, old school, not even WWE, we're talking WWF. We're going way back. What would your entrance song be?
Let it be known, I hate wrestling and everything about wrestling, and I have good reason for it, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But this song, you've never heard of it, and that is absolutely not okay. And I encourage you to listen to it after we're done the podcast. It is a DJ Hero original remix of Heard It Through the Grapevine mashed with Feel Good Inc. from the Gorillas. And it is the greatest thing I've ever heard, still to this day. The specific video that I watch on YouTube is 8 years old, and I still listen to it weekly. And it's great.
My question is, so is that because you love the song? Because you're right, I don't know the song. So is it because you love the song, or is it because you think it would be a great entrance song?
Both.
Okay, fair enough.
It's got so much energy, so it's so high energy. Rather,
yeah, I mean, high energy is very good. Yeah. So I also have to put a little tidbit here, which is that I thought of this song because I was explaining to my wife today about every little boy who grew up in the 90s, his absolute favorite thing to do and his favorite, like, just wrestling, just, I don't even know what to call it because it's a finishing move, but it's not their favorite finish. It's just literally the favorite anything having to do with wrestling, which is the finishing move by Rikishi. If you guys don't remember that. So basically, so Brandy, because you hate wrestling, you might not have seen it, but basically Rikishi was like a 500-pound guy that wore a sumo wrestler's thong, and his finishing move was that, have you heard of like the Stone Cold Stunner and like the People's Elbow from The Rock? Like, they have the cool finisher moves. So Rikishi's was that he would get you all like tired and worn out and you'd be a mess, and he would kind of hit you with a chair or something, and then you'd be like slumped over up against the pole in the corner, and then he would go in front of you and turn around, and he would like sumo stomp and slap both his big ass thighs, and then he would bury his face or your face in his ass and like fucking whip you in the face with his ass a whole bunch. It's absolute top tier. Like, whoever thought of that is the actual goat of television.
I will tell you, the reason I hate wrestling is because I have an ex who's a wonderful person, obsessed with wrestling, and it took over my entire life for like 2.5 years. I know everything about wrestling, and that's why I hate wrestling.
That's funny. That's all right. So my explanation of Rikishi was not to you then; it was to our other listeners.
Yeah. Yes. I
wasn't assuming that you didn't know wrestling. I just assumed because you said you hated it, so because I figured that. But yeah, so Rikishi and Hilary Duff, two goats of the 90s. Jeez. All right.
So, they hang out or hung out like at that point or now.
All right. So let's move on to last week's winner. If you missed it, we drafted New World Wonders. It was delightful. I bet you thought I was going to say wonderful. Yeah, you thought I was going to say wonderful. Gotcha. The person who inspired the best sense of wonder in our listeners was me. I got one. Finally got back on the board.
Dang, we didn't have enough listeners that have been to the Wildwood Wawa, obviously.
That probably factored in. See, that's the thing. You only applied to a small, or you only, kind of appealed, was the word I was looking for, to a small subsect of our listeners. We're international, man. You got to hit everybody.
You do.
All right. So let's move on to this week's, which is the important one, because that's why you're listening. Although you might have been interested to know who won last week. I hope you were interested to know who won last week. This week, we are drafting Dinosaur Armies. That's right. We are going to war with each other, and we have the ability to control dinosaurs. We'll each be picking 5 dinosaurs to battle it out. There are no real rules this week. Just to clarify, we are picking 5 types of dinosaurs. I didn't really put a specification on it. I don't think it'll matter too much. I don't think it'll change picks to just kind of establish it at this point, because this was something I just thought of now. Which is, you're not picking solo dinosaurs, but you're also not picking like all the dinosaurs of that species. I figured just be like a group, like a handful, something like that. Like, it's multiples. It's not a single one of that species, but it's not a bajillion of them. So that is, I guess, kind of the only rule. However, you do have to think practically. If you are the only person that picks like a water-based dinosaur, then no matter how scary or powerful they are, it's probably going to be pretty useless if we're all fighting it out on land and they're just kind of swimming around. Except if they're like the one at the end of Jurassic World, where it like jumps out of the water and eats the bad dinosaur right at the end.
Oh, yeah, Chris Pratt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt eaten
Pizza
by a
meat.
dinosaur.
Oh my god.
Let's not even.
Non-plumber, non-Italian.
That's a whole different. Episode of a whole different style of podcast. So we'll just go right past that. So let's go ahead and determine the order for our Dino draft. So because I won, we'll stick with the same theme. And for the first time in this show's history, I will pick first for the random number generator. And I will honor that landmark opportunity by splitting the exact middle. And I will pick number 50. So now we will go. Ooh, this is tough because it's usually one of you two, and then I go to the other. So now I have to decide who to go to next. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We'll go Brandy. Brandy, you go next.
43.
So I got 50. Brandy's got 43. Joe, hit me with it. I know what you want to do. Just go ahead and do it. I made my own bed.
I'll take. Oh man, I kind of want to just take 50 or 42, but I also want to take 51. Either way, it's so memey. I'll be kind of nice to you. I'll throw you a bone, Mike. I'm gonna take 52.
52. All right.
I know. So 53. 53. So you'll win on 51.
All right. So I need 48 through 51. Here we go. Rock and roll. 33. So it's Brandy, then me, then Joe as far as picking the order. So Brandy, go ahead. What would you like?
I will go first.
First, okay. So you're gonna go first. Yeah, I thought more was coming. Honestly, like you said first, but the way you're like, I will go first, and I thought you were gonna like give a reason or something.
No.
Like you kind of just.
No.
It was like you were leading into further comment, and then just decided not to.
No, I was just thinking about it and regretting it as I said it. That was all.
I am gonna take second then because I think there might be some overlap this week. So I think I'd rather get my first pick locked in. So all right, so Joe, you will take the third pick. So go ahead, Brandy, kick us off.
I think there's gonna be an extensive amount of overlap this week.
Yeah, I have a long list.
I
don't.
Well,
well, anyway.
Better make it work.
Yeah. So the first thing I have on my list is the Gigantasaurus.
Sure.
Because it's like a T-Rex, but bigger.
So my only issue is if you're taking the Gigantasaurus, I'm not sure if that's the same as the Giganotosaurus. Because that's how it's...
Am I reading it wrong?
I don't know if you're reading it wrong, but you're definitely saying it wrong.
I looked at it for 3 seconds and I said, that's the word. And that's what I wrote in my notes app.
There's an
Gigantosaurus.
O. Yeah, there's an O in between the N and the T. It's Giganotosaurus. But yeah, so that's a solid pick.
Oh, it is Gigantosaurus. Okay, that's fine. That's, that one. That's the one.
I mean, you are correct. It's basically a T-Rex, but bigger.
I don't know shit about dinosaurs.
They don't know shit about you.
So we're even.
Yeah, both those statements sound pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So Giganotosaurus because it is big old boy, essentially.
It's a Gigantosaurus.
Fair enough. So for my first pick, because I feel like T-Rex but bigger basically encompasses that pick, so I think we're good there. For my first pick, I'm going to take what people believe the Jurassic Park Velociraptors to be. So for people that aren't aware, the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park, they call them Velociraptors because they decided that it sounded a lot cooler, which to be fair, they're probably right. But Velociraptors are actually tiny. They're like the size of like chickens. So what the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park actually are, or at least based off of, are Deinonychus. Deinonychus is the name of that dinosaur. And they are fast and strong and vicious and basically everything you want in like an attack dinosaur. So I built out, I like this topic. I mean, obviously I picked it, but I was a big fan of this topic. So I kind of took a little bit of the Joe approach, which is that I broke it into categories. So I have different dinosaurs that do different things. I thought of it very strategically, like what I would want in like an army. So the Deinonychus fits into like my kind of attack, like my front line, you know, kind of get in behind the defense, wreak some havoc types, you know.
I've just now realized I'm not going to be able to argue anyone's picks because I'm not going to know what any of these dinosaurs are.
Well, I love dinosaurs, so I'll do a pretty good job of explaining what mine are, but I guess you won't really know the downside from what I'm explaining. So
Yeah. How big are they?
So have you ever seen Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park, that's what Deinonychus are.
Yeah, okay.
They just called them Velociraptors because it sounds way cooler.
Like based on that, so I didn't know if they were like entirely accurate, you know, like size issue. They're probably, but, like, how accurate can they be?
Yeah, they're probably slightly bigger as far as realism. As far as what I know and what I read and everything, they're slightly bigger. But it's, for the most part, it's pretty, and they had feathers. That's what people don't realize. Pretty much all dinosaurs had feathers. So like not as scary looking as scales, unless you're me, who's terrified of birds. So
wait, birds aren't real.
Well, that's why they're terrifying, because they're just a bunch of government drones floating around up in the sky. Like, that's extra terrifying. In all seriousness, though, birds do scare the crap out of me. Like, just think about how sharp their beaks are, and they fly. Like, if birds wanted to just attack you, like if birds one day got together and was like, we hate humans, we're going to do something about it, like, you literally wouldn't be able to go outside.
No.
Sure. Because they would dive bomb you with their sharp ass swords that are on their face. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, they're badass. Birds are badass.
That's what I'm saying. They're terrifying. So basically, I mean, they basically are present day dinosaurs. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Joe, you have the first wraparound of the evening.
Yep. So I've as usual, split it into categories for myself. And I'm going to take this one first because I think this is an important category to dominate. Because as we know, when new forms of warfare have been invented over the years, whatever civilization, mastered that first, whether it was land or sea or air, that civilization thrived really well. So I'm gonna take the air here, and I'm gonna go with the Quetzalcoatlus.
No.
Yes, it is the largest of the flying dinosaurs. You know, people, if you say flying dinosaurs, I think 9 out of 10 people are gonna say pterodactyl. That's the one that comes to mind. I think maybe that's either the most common or was more of a group name. I'm not really sure, but the Quetzalcoatlus is the largest of the flying dinosaurs, and I have to believe that Quetzalcoatl, the South American deity god,
makes sense. Sure.
Bird-like figure,
yeah,
would have been named after this, probably based on the skeleton of this being.
I think you probably have it the wrong way around, because I don't think it would have been named at the time of that. So I think scientists probably named the bird after the godlike bird.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Sure.
Yeah. God probably existed before the remains were found, or the remains were identified.
Oh, I'm so mad right now. That was my number one flyer. I thought I could wait around on the flyer.
I would have first picked that if I had been first pick overall. So you weren't getting it unless you first picked it.
That was my number one flyer. I'm so sad right now. So disappointed.
Well, moving on to my next pick, I don't know if I'm going to dash your hopes again, but we're going with a tanky here. Just a character, a dinosaur that has insane defensive skills.
I'm already angry. I'm already mad. I'm so mad right now.
Same.
I gotta hit the Google
skills as well as. Are you gonna let me pick? Dude?
No, I'm not, because I don't want you to pick my. No, I'm not. You're making me Google.
Podcast is over.
You're making me Google in round 2.
Sorry. So the this dinosaur had just some of the most insane defenses. It's basically like armor plated. It's also got spikes all over it. It's got a tail with like basically a bludgeoning weapon on the end, and like a horned face and stuff like that. This is a dinosaur that I did a second grade project on, and I told people was my favorite dinosaur growing up because it was the only one I really knew. This is called the Ankylosaurus.
Oh, I knew there was going to be overlap this week, but like I wasn't expecting so much so early.
Yeah.
Did I just get another one on your list?
It was my number one tank. I didn't even put another tank. I honestly thought people would like kind of like wait on the tanky
you thought
builds.
Nobody was going to take that one?
No, I thought they were going to wait on the tanky builds. Like I thought people were going to go for raw power first.
I went with the flyer, strategic, and I went with the defensive tank, the juggernaut. And sorry, bud.
Yeah, that hurts, honestly.
Yeah. For the audio listeners, I'm doing a motion of me touching my phone, and this is me deleting Ankylosaurus off of my list.
Yeah, that was a good pick. And I was actually, since I know that dinosaur because of my second grade project, and I know it's not as well known of a dinosaur, I was going to save that one for later, but I really, really wanted it because, like, growing up, I was always like, this is my favorite dinosaur.
Oh, boy. All right. So, two of my top ones, my number one tank and my number one flyer. So now, I have to go flyer because I only had two flyers because I figured if one went, then I would have to pick the other one next because I didn't really have a third flyer I liked. And so I can't really run the risk of Brandy having two picks and using one to take it. So I will be taking the Pteranodon, which is, I know you said about it before, Joe, like you thought it might have been a grouping or something. So pterodactyl is like, I think it is like a grouping. It's not a specific dinosaur, but like when people think of pterodactyl, like if you ask a kid to draw a pterodactyl, they're going to draw a Pteranodon. Like that's what people think of when they think pterodactyl from like TV shows and stuff. Yeah, so Pteranodon is, I'll admit right off the bat, it's a great flyer. It doesn't have the same power as the Quetzalcoatlus. It's like if the Quetzalcoatlus or whatever, if that's like the S tier, then Pteranodon is like a solid A+ tier, but it is in a different tier. But it is, I mean, it's a giant flyer. It's got a crazy sharp beak. It's got giant wings. Like, it can do some damage. It's just not quite as big as Joe's and not quite as, like, dangerous. It really only has the beak. I think Joe's has, like, also kind of claws at the end of its wings, too. So it's got a little bit more to it. But I'm still happy with Pteranodon. It's a very solid second pick flyer. I don't mind, it is a draft. You're going to lose picks sometimes, and I'm still happy with my team with Pteranodon on it. So I will take the flyer to go with my Deinonychus, my fast Raptor guy. A little bit of I like speed in a dinosaur battle, and I locked up in the first two rounds. I got my speed on the ground as well as speed in the air and evasiveness. Which I like. So I'm happy with that. I'm all right with having to settle for my second option with flyers. So Brandy, over to you for your first wraparound.
Yes. So the first one I'm going to pick with that is the, correct me if I'm wrong because I'm going to be, the Spinosaurus, I believe. Oh no,
this is rough.
I'm sorry.
Like getting pulled apart.
Yeah, this is rough.
Ripped apart. Rip. Which from what I read is pretty big, pretty big boy, but is good on land and can also swim. One of the first dinosaurs that could also swim. So you're getting like land and sea coverage.
It can swim. That's accurate, as demonstrated in Jurassic Park 3.
Wouldn't know.
That is...
I don't know how to differentiate them. I was like, wow, dinosaurs. This movie's great.
Spinosaurus is the bad dinosaur in Jurassic Park 3. It's got like a giant... it's the one with the giant like sail on its back. And yeah. It's the bad one. Jurassic Park 3, funny enough. I know this is a very... unpopular opinion, my favorite of the Jurassic franchise. Funny tidbit. I
cannot differentiate.
The Lost World, which is the second one.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Jurassic Park is my wife's favorite book.
Yeah, excellent book.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's a absolutely huge Michael Crichton fan.
Yeah, it's a great book. The Lost World is good, but unfortunately the entire thing goes down the tank for me during the gymnastics kick a Velociraptor out of the barn scene. That was, I think, whatever peak film is, that's the opposite of that. That's like where they dug a hole to try to get to the Earth's core, and that's where that scene was filmed.
Yike.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. All right, so Brandy
Not
going
ideal.
with
Okay.
2 giant dinosaurs to kick off her team.
Yeah.
So what would you like as your third?
Whatever this is. Another big boy. Saying these is so embarrassing. Diplodocus? How do you say that? Do you know? Mike knows.
I think it's like the Diplodocus. It's kind of hard because they're all kind of made up. You know, not made up, but like I mean, all words are made up. So like, it's hard to know without like an actual science person saying it.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the long boys, big old long necks, big long tails, but pretty big. But this description here says 100-foot dinosaur. Sorry, 20-foot long tail enabled this 100-foot dinosaur to crack enemies at hypersonic speeds, which is, I imagine, an exaggeration, but still very scary.
I was thinking of a different one. Can you spell that for me so I can look it up?
Diplodocus.
Because I was thinking of Diplocalus. Okay, this boy. Yeah. It's the one. It's got a really hard dome.
Yeah, and I figured it's got a lot of sweeping range. Take a couple out in one shot.
It does have a lot of sweeping range, but I don't know how much actual damage it's gonna do. It's kind of like a big boy,
it's
but
set
like
at hypersonic speeds. Imagine getting hit at a hypersonic speed by anything.
Yeah, but
marshmallow.
The thing is, right? Same thing as like a giraffe. Like once you're like, if my Deinonychus get inside the range of its head, like, you know what I mean? Like once you break through that barrier and get inside the range, then it's gonna be, it's almost gonna be lights out for him.
And that's what my other dinosaurs are for.
Okay, so you're gonna kind of have like pairs. They're gonna like team up together and protect each other.
Yeah. It'll keep them far enough out of the range.
Sure.
For this one to come in and just sweep the leg.
Sure. Makes sense. All right. Absolutely. So team of big boys.
He had a long neck. I'm just now looking at photos of this thing and I'm like, wow, that's something.
Very long neck. All right, so I have my fast guy and my flyer, so I'm going to go ahead and take a big boy because I got to start getting on this big boy game.
Big boy.
So you took my number 1, which was the Spinosaurus. The Gigantasaurus was my number 3, so I do get my number 2 again here. So I'm getting like the number 2s off my list, this is going to be my first pronunciation issue. Because this name is kind of ridiculous. It is the Carcharodontosaurus. So it's basically, like I said, it was the number 2 to the Spinosaurus for me. So it's basically like the Spinosaurus, except slightly smaller. It's a big old boy. It's same thing. It's like what people picture a T-Rex to be, except bigger. Because T-Rexes were a little smaller than people think as well. But it is kind of, again, what they based the Jurassic Park one on. I think like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park is more based on the Carcharodontosaurus than the T-Rex if you look at actual pictures of them.
I'm trying to look this up and there's no way.
It's a long word. Yeah, it's a long
just kidding. It's on this list of dangerous dinosaurs that I have.
Yeah, so it's like 12 meters long by like 4 meters tall. So it's a big old boy. He's gonna do some damage. So that's my big boy. So I got my fast, my big guy, and my flyer. And
big
Joe,
guy, small brain.
He's got a small brain, but honestly, sometimes in battle, you just want that idiot out there that's just gonna
you need the tank.
Yeah, like you need that idiot out there that's not gonna know they're in danger, or like they're too dumb to know that like bad things are happening, so they just keep fighting.
You know what? That's fair.
It's almost like that scene of Forrest Gump where he's over in Vietnam and he just keeps running, and what is he, saving people because he just doesn't know what's going on, and that's sometimes you need that.
Sure.
So that's what that guy's gonna be, except a little bit little bit weaker though than Forrest Gump is the only issue.
Just a little
bit less strong than Forrest Gump. He was a powerhouse. All right, Joe, your next 2 picks.
All right, so I have my tank, I have my flyer. I'm going to go for sheer size now, and I'm very surprised that this is still here. This is the largest dinosaur that there was. This is the Argentinosaurus.
I don't know what that is.
It's the largest. Listen, I just Googled largest dinosaur, and it is the listed one as the largest dinosaur there was. So we're going for sheer size power here.
Again, same thing I said to Brandy. Like the size is great, but like its main weapon is its long ass neck and like tail to like sweep. But if I get my little guys in behind its defenses and then they're just chilling on its back, just taking bites out.
There's no option that's going to be the best option. They all have, like, obviously there are bad options. Like no one's going to, at least I don't think anyone's going to choose a Brontosaurus on this one, which is just a smaller version of the thing that I did. That's smaller, weaker. But I think that just covering all the aspects. I've got the flight, I've got the defense, I've got the sheer size, power, and then my next pick is going to go in a different direction.
Hit us with it.
Oh, I'll hit you with it. Now this is a dinosaur that has defensive aspects, but also some very good offensive aspects. Specifically, 3 offensive aspects, and I'm surprised this didn't get picked already. Pretty common dinosaur that people know, the Triceratops.
So I get what you're going for. It's got the horns.
Jack of all trade. It has the horns. It has thick skin. It's good at defense. It's got protective, especially in the head area, has a lot of protection. And they're also decently fast.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's not bad. I don't think it's quite as strong as you are.
We took all your picks.
Yeah, the problem is you already have a tank build, so if you go too tanky, then you're not gonna have enough offense.
This is an everyman.
See, I think there are better everymen. Is my, if you're going for like an all rounder, I think there's better ones.
I liked this one as an everyman because you have a, like, it's almost like this is kind of like a glass cannon kind of character. In addition, because of the horns, like not super strong, but like you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
I think it's a jack of all trades, master of none type situation.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine. That's literally my life. I'm very decent. I'm very decent at a lot of things, but I'm exceptionally good at pretty much nothing.
Yes, very much that. The same.
You're exceptionally good at being late to recording.
I was only 4 minutes late this time, and you lost a bet.
Yeah, but it's not so much the length of lateness; it's the percentage. Like, I think you're at like a solid 100% late rate for the recordings, which would be characterized as exceptional.
It would be exceptional. I've been the first one on a couple times.
Ooh,
I don't know if that's true.
if that's accurate.
I think at least once, probably twice.
We might have to go to the tapes.
Yeah. Go to the tapes.
Ask my dad.
Ask my dad. All right. So Joe's got his tank team, even if he denies it being all tanky. So I will get my tank on board. I was hoping I'd be able to wait for this one once Joe took the Ankylosaurus, which, luckily I was able to. So with some last minute adjustments and some quick fire research, I'm going to go ahead and take the Borealop. Oh God, this is tough. There's a lot of vowels. It's a lot of vowels. It's a Borealopelta. Borealopelta. So it's basically like an Ankylosaurus, except it doesn't have the club on its tail. It's basically like a spiny dinosaur. It does have two or four, depending on how you define long. But it's got like 2 or 4 like long spikes out the side of like its neck area, in addition to its full armor back. So it's a very solid tank build, I think. I really wanted a tank build because it's something that like distracts the other dinosaurs while they're kind of focused on hurting the tank build. Your other guys can get in there and do some damage while they're kind of shields down. So I have to say the flyer was unfortunate because I think Pteranodon is definitely second to the Quetzalcoatlus, but I'm still very happy with it. Losing out on the Ankylosaurus, I think, was a bigger blow to me and to what my team wanted to do. So I really needed to replace that tank build. Yeah. But it's just the Ankylosaurus, for me, I will say it was probably the best pick of the draft so far. I'll give you credit for that. I really thought I would be able to get it in the second round. I really did think I was going to be able to get it in the second round.
I had it as my second round pick.
I feel like the more we're talking to, I feel like you guys wouldn't have had Deinonychus on your list, so I probably could have waited for past the first round for that. The only reason I thought that was because I thought you guys doing your research might have like turned to Jurassic Park a little bit and then saw articles about how the Velociraptor was really a Deinonychus, because there's a lot of articles like that. So that's why I thought that. Yeah.
I did see that.
But I wanted to stay away from that because I figured one of you would go in that direction, so I didn't want to put that on my list.
Sure. Yeah, so I needed to get the tank build, so I'm going to take that guy. Just get my defender in there. So I'm mediumly happy with it. Definitely happy with getting it after the Ankylosaurus was picked. So, all right, Brandy, you can go ahead and wrap up your draft.
Oh, sheesh. I always forget about that. Also, I do want to say while I'm here, my long boy, because you had mentioned about, your little boys getting on the back and taking pieces. My long boy has spikes on his back. So good luck with that.
All right, belly then. My guys know how to fight. They know what to aim for. They know where the soft flesh is.
All right. I'm just saying, they might not be able to reach. They might be too short.
They're trained well.
Anyway. My fourth pick, because of the wonderful phrase that I found, the wonderful descriptor I found for this dinosaur is huge claws, ferocious jaws. And that is the, Saurophaganax? I don't know how to say that.
Just gonna take your word for it.
Yeah, Sauro something. Another big boy. I'm just going all tanky here, like full attack.
Here, give
this team.
Give me and the listeners another spelling so that if people are interested, they can Google it and see what it looks like.
It's Saurophaganax.
How
would you pronounce that?
I like how quickly you just blew through spelling that really hard to spell name. I did get it, funny enough. Saurophaganax. Yeah. Would be my guess. Saurophaganax.
Yeah.
He's a boy.
The Lord of the Lizard Eaters.
The Lord of the Lizard Eaters.
Yeah, described as the longest terrestrial carnivore species of all time.
Oh, he's got spikes on his back.
Yeah, he got spikes.
That's like actual spikes.
It says it could hunt any dinosaur. Yeah. It would hunt even heavily armored dinosaurs. And they're good.
Seems like a good.
They're great.
Good pick. It's got some cool color too.
Love me a Saurophaganax.
Yeah, he's cool to look at. He's got like cool color.
Yeah, no, they're definitely neat looking. I'm getting a little more interested in dinosaurs than I thought I would during this.
Dinosaurs are awesome.
I know, no, they're cool. I just never was like, yeah, dinosaurs, you know?
And according to somebody I know, who will not be named, don't exist. I know somebody who doesn't think dinosaurs exist.
I have literally dated someone for years that still to this day thinks dinosaurs never exist. Also doesn't think that space exists.
Was that the same?
There's that.
Wait. Was that the same person that was heavy into wrestling? Because that would be great.
No, different one.
That would have been
also
fun.
Not the same one that didn't know who David Schwimmer was.
You've dated some weird people.
Yeah, some of them are just not all there. But you know what?
Is that how you like them? Yeah. It sounds like you got a pattern. You have a type.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, he a little dumb. I like that. And anyway, down to my last pick. Just because I feel like I have to, and to bring some variety to it, I do want to go with the Leopleurodon, even though it's kind of stuck to the water. But I feel like if it goes into the water, like, I've got this down. And also, if it stays on land, I still got one guy that's thriving, you know?
So, the Leopleurodon is an absolute monster. I will definitely give you that. It is an absolute beast of a dinosaur. And I get what you're going for. I understand the thought process behind the pick. You have to get them into the water, though, is the thing. Like, if you don't find a way to get our dinosaurs into the water, the Leopleurodon is useless.
Well, what if I use my other dragons? Oh, dragons. Woof. Other dinosaurs to drag.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Their dinosaurs into the water, because I have some dinosaurs that are pretty damn big.
I
feel like they could use a dragon.
That's a good strat. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you can get them into the water, then yeah, obviously you're gonna clean, because ours are gonna be useless in the water. So yeah, it would be game over. So you got to devise a strategy to get them there.
There's also evidence that Leopleurodons are magical.
Is this true? Yeah.
Have you ever watched Charlie
the Unicorn? Yeah.
No.
Magical Leopleurodon.
Yeah.
No, I have not.
I was waiting for that.
Well, also, the Pokemon Lapras is based off of Leopleurodons, and Lapras is the strongest Pokemon in Pokemon Stadium 1.
Thank you, Joe.
I bet we might as well just stop picking now, because that sounds like she's got it wrapped up.
Damn, I should have definitely picked that and used that as an argument.
I took the big, smart dinosaurs. I'm going to use them to rally all the other ones and trick them into the water.
Yeah, what are you going to... You don't even have to trick them. They're huge. You just, you just close off the areas and then, like riot control. You just form, like, a barrier, and then you just push them into the water.
Push them all into the water. Yeah.
So, my last pick actually kind of combats that a little bit, which was completely unintentional. I was always planning on picking this. So I slagged off the Velociraptor a little bit before. Not necessarily slagged it off, but I just talked about how it's actually really tiny. It's like the size of I think chicken is too small. I think it's like the size of a turkey. But the thing is, they are vicious little fuckers. Like, they actually still are really vicious. They have crazy sharp claws and teeth. They're just much smaller than led to believe in the movie. So I will actually, despite that size difference, I actually will be taking Velociraptors. But again, not the Jurassic Park Velociraptors, the actual real life Velociraptors.
Yeah.
Because
I don't blame you.
What I thought for this war was that you're going to need a little bit of everything. If you just have big guys, war is about strategy. So if you just have big guys, like, you can kind of plan around that. You can strategize around that. And these Velociraptors, like I said, they're like the size of turkeys, and they're fast, and they have crazy sharp claws. They're just going to run around slashing Achilles. I don't know if big dinosaurs have Achilles tendons, but they're going to go for, like, behind the leg and just kind of go for some quick slashes and get them off their feet so they can't, how are you going to, just think about if they do have Achilles or just any tendons that connect, to their feet. Like, if you slash those, they're not going to be able to, like, run or even walk. Like, how are they going to fight? and I'm just gonna sick these Velociraptors, these tiny little fuckers, just run around and just slash and run, slash and run, slash and run. Like, don't get into fights, don't get held up. Like, just never stop moving, just slash and run the whole time.
I'm not mad at it because I feel like because they're so small, probably easier for them to evade certain stuff too, like getting stepped on.
Exactly.
Just the air.
It's the agility
force of the air of the foot coming down is just gonna blow them away. I feel like just right out of range.
They have the agility that's necessary to be little tiny warriors, which I'm a big fan of. I picture them like the chariot in like the Roman thing. You know how they used to have the spikes on the wheels of the chariot, and like while you're having the battle, they would like get under the shields and like slash people's legs. That's gonna be my Velociraptor. Yeah. Oh, I went deep this week. I thought like actual like war strategy, to plan my team. So that's Velociraptors.
I read Art of War earlier this week as research.
Yeah, you read Art of War?
Yeah. In the original traditional Chinese.
I started a war.
Did in Art of War, did he talk about getting all tank builds?
I don't have all tank builds. You're just mad that I took all your choices.
I'm mad about the Ankylosaurus. That one I am mad about.
You're going to be mad about this last one, too.
All right, hit me with it. What's your last one? Bring us home.
Okay, so your Velociraptor pick, when you were starting to talk about it, I thought you were picking mine. This is basically a Velociraptor, similar in size and build and claws and everything like that. But this one's just a faster version of the Velociraptor. With Velociraptors typically are 25 miles an hour, but they can sprint up to 40. This one's regular speed is 40 miles an hour, and this is a Compsognathus. Something like that. COMP.
I think I took that in college.
NAY. No, wait, sorry. I'm not spelling it correctly. COMPSOGNATUS. Compsognathus.
So I did look up this dinosaur. I believe it's actually the dinosaur that in The Lost World kills the guy down by the stream when they all like jump on him. I think that was those. Yeah.
Yep.
My issue is it's not an issue. Sorry, it's a good pick. It is a good pick because I did look at these. The reason that I chose Velociraptor, while they are faster, which I will give you, Velociraptor, their claws were a little longer and sharp, so I figured they could kind of do more of a drive-by, like a run-by, type situation with those long claws. Whereas I think the Compsognathus, I have to get in a little tighter to the dinosaur and kind of do a few more like I don't think one slash is going to do it. I don't think they'll get deep enough. So they're going to have to stand there for a second and kind of give a few slashes, where the Velociraptor, their claws are long and they can just give one.
Sounds like you're making excuses.
That's not excuse. That's Dad Grofsick. There's a big difference between reasons and excuses. Thank you very much. That was my favorite phrase growing up when I used to hear about excuses. If reasons and excuses were the same things, life would just be one giant excuse. Reasons and excuses are vastly different. And those are the reasons that I chose a Velociraptor, not the excuses.
Debatable.
Sorry, you brought up some stuff there. You opened some old wounds.
Oof.
But all right, we kind of had a little bit of a similar strategy. Velociraptors, by the way, look hilarious if you look at them because, like I said, they have, like most dinosaurs, had feathers. And if you look at what a real Velociraptor looks like, it's actually kind of hilarious because they had feathers all over. But yeah, like
they're kind of cute.
They are in a weird way. But if you compare if you look at like a picture of a real Velociraptor, compare the claws is what I'm saying to the other guy, and that was my reasoning because their claws are definitely more vicious. But
okay.
So all right, that wraps up the Dino draft. I think this is going to be a tough one because I have to say, we argue during the podcast and try try to make our team sound better and all that jazz. But like, I like all three of our teams. I think this might be the number one week that we've done so far where like I would be happy if I ended up with any of the three teams. I think the different strategies are interesting too, because Brandy clearly went for just straight up power, just straight up big boys. Joe went for he got the air and the little guy, but then not like I was busting his chops about tanks, but like you did go for a tankier build. Like even if the Triceratops has good attack, they're tankier dinosaurs still. Sure. So that's the strat. And then I kind of went with like a little bit of everything. Like I have to hope.
Let's just remember that defense always wins the Super Bowl.
It's true. It's a fair point. I'm just hoping I have enough of everything. Is because I went like a little bit of everything, so I'm hoping I have enough. Like I'm hoping a little bit of everything accumulates into enough of an offense and defense instead of being spread too thin. You know what I mean? Like if you're on a basketball team and you have one guy that's good at, or like each guy is good at a different thing. So you have like one 3-point shooter, one paint guy, one defense. You have to hope that the other team can't just defend each thing individually. You know what I mean? Like you got to hope that they can come together.
Yeah, but I'm not going to listen to you about anything regarding basketball because Brandy is our reigning basketball champion from our first podcast episode.
Yeah,
it's fair. It's a good point.
I'm sorry.
It's a good point.
I'm the basketball expert.
Even though she didn't have the N, I'm still mad about that. The whole strategy was the LMNOP and didn't even get the N. And still won.
I pulled out the win anyway.
Yeah, I'm still.
I drafted Dr. J and I didn't win.
Talk about bringing up old scars. I need a trigger warning.
LMNOP.
All right, so that was our DinoWar draft. I didn't really have any. I had the only real one I had left. I had a couple, but they weren't ones I really planned on picking. They were just in case we had a lot of overlap. The only one that was really on my list as another one I would have liked was the Utah Raptor, which is again kind of like what the Velociraptor in Jurassic Park actually was.
That's what I thought Joe was going to pick when he started talking about that.
Yeah. The Utah Raptor is slightly smaller than the Deinonychus, but basically kind of similar to what people think the Velociraptor is from Jurassic Park. So yeah. So other than that, we had a lot of overlap, which I kind of figured, coming into it. But yeah, so that was the Dino Draft. If you're enjoying the podcast, I know exactly what you can do, which is to give us a 5-star rating would be super helpful. We would really appreciate it. It would mean a lot to us. Take you 20 seconds to do. Write in your favorite dinosaur in the comments. Everybody loves dinosaurs. Write one in. Let us know. If you think you have a good idea for a draft category, you can shoot me an email at ridiculouslyseriouspodcast@gmail.com. I will say for the listeners and not the viewers that Joe has a sweet little star sticker thing he's holding up, and with the number 5. So that should encourage you to do it. So again, if you have a good idea of ridiculouslyseriouspodcast@gmail.com, happy to look over them and potentially have topics for upcoming weeks. So that is all that we have for today. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed all the dino talk, and we will be back next week.